I am Courtney Hudson-Paz, founder of the Time Initiative. Just to go back to my undergrad, because that's where you guys are at, I did my undergrad at UC Santa Barbara, and that's where I fell in love with researching the brain and neuroscience. I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do after for grad school, but knew I wanted to keep going with research. So I found a research assistant position at the Buck Institute. And when I got there, I learned about what aging research was and its potential for impact in the world. And that really led me down the path to continue my PhD at the Buck Institute. And after I finished my PhD, I started the Time Initiative because I wanted to figure out, what is really standing in the way of progress. And I think that people can have a huge impact. And I think talent is the biggest bottleneck to us actually seeing meaningful progress in the field. I'm also a big fan of upstream thinking. So I decided to start the Time Initiative to focus on undergrads, exposing undergrads to aging research, and then meeting them with the resources, mentors that they need to actually excel and become leaders in the field. So the Time Initiative, I'll just kind of review what it is. So this is our website, so you can learn about all the information that I'm going to say today should be reiterated on there. You're all here today because you're interested in becoming a Time Fellow, and we're going to go over that pretty thoroughly today. We do events both in person at different universities. So if you're interested in co-hosting one of those with me at your university, let me know. Reach out, please. And we also do virtual events. And so hopefully we'll have some more posted there soon. I've also curated a list of resources, kind of a start here guide for the field. But if you see any glaring gaps or things that you want to develop to go on this resource page, feel free to reach out to me as well. And then we also have a Slack channel where you can connect with other people from around the world that are also interested in aging research. Okay, so our agenda for today, we're going to go over our why. I think this is a good place to start, like, why this is such an important field to focus on, why we should be focusing now. Then we'll go over the Time Fellowship, including expectations and what our current fellows have been able to do. Then a little bit about the application process and have a few minutes at the end for Q&A. So why should we care about aging, right? You are all young, you are probably all healthy. Why should you care about aging? Well, the world itself is getting older. So we have Japan, for instance, we have a third of the people there are already over 65. This is causing a lack of available workers, and the economy itself is struggling to support their retirees. In the US, 2030 is going to mark a really significant demographic turning point, right? We're going to have more older people than children under 5. And this is the first time this will happen in human history. So this is very significant. One of the reasons for this is a lower birth rate, but also another reason is that people are living longer. And this is due to advancements in healthcare and sanitation and overall living conditions. And living longer might sound like a good thing, right? People continue to impress us with their accomplishments later and later in life. But I'm here to tell you that these are actually freaks of nature and they're more of the exception, right? In fact, most people, they're living in poor health longer. So this extension in lifespan that we saw due to sanitation and living conditions, it's really given rise to chronic conditions like cancer and heart disease and dementia. So 2/3 of people 65 and over suffer from more than one chronic condition. Having one chronic condition, it really predisposes you to have another. And aging is the reason that all of these curves go up together, right? Every chronic condition has aging as the main risk factor. And so why is it that when you Google cancer risk, you get a pie chart like this? Why don't you get something that looks more like this, right? It's more true. Aging is more of a risk factor than any other environmental or lifestyle factor. And we know this really intuitively, right? The older we get, the more likely we are to get sick. But we tend to think of the effects of aging as separate from the diseases of aging. And we also tend to think of these diseases as separate from each other. But what if they're all part of the same process? So I want to take you back just for a minute and show you one more thing. So each of these diseases obviously has a huge economic cost. So here are the direct costs in the US alone. And now tie these in with the demographic changes that we're expecting. In the next decade, healthcare in its current form will likely collapse under demographic pressure. And so you might be asking yourself right now, are we doomed? And the answer is maybe not. And here's why. So in 1939, scientists first discovered that calorie restriction could actually increase the lifespan of both mice and rats. This was a game-changing moment, right? It showed us that the aging process isn't set in stone, it's actually quite flexible. What's even more fascinating is that dietary restriction didn't just add more years to their life, it also helped keep these age-related diseases at bay. So the animals enjoyed a healthier and longer life, and this really introduced the idea that extending lifespan goes hand in hand with improving health span. And this early discovery laid the groundwork for more studies to come, including this landmark discovery in 1993 by Cynthia Kenyon, where she altered a single gene in C. elegans and it doubled their lifespan. This was really surprising because, scientists assumed that you'd have to have hundreds or thousands of genes to be involved and actually see a significant effect, and that the effect of a single gene would be very small or even undetectable. But currently, over 800 genes have been identified to modulate lifespan in C. elegans, this little nematode worm. This discovery really gave rise to the modern field of biology of aging. So, in 30 years since aging research, it's boomed, right? We've transitioned away from identifying just aging phenotypes to really investigating the genetic pathways that are underlying those phenotypes. And aging research, it's revealed this really complex network of all these interacting intercellular signaling pathways that we can target to slow aging and age-related diseases. So I just wanted to pause here for a second and point out like how just relatively young the field is and how exciting it is we have the opportunity now to contribute in such a massive way. And that's what this whole community is about. That's what the Time Initiative is about. We want to provide you with the mentors and resources to contribute another blue dot on this timeline. So how does this all work? Well, first up, what is biology of aging? In essence, it's the study of the cellular and molecular processes that underlie the aging process. So really understanding, why and how we age from our cells up to our whole body systems. And the really exciting part is that by understanding how these processes work, we have the potential to intervene and slow the progression of aging. This could mean developing treatments that target specific biological mechanisms of aging, not necessarily to just extend lifespan, but to really enhance health span. And health span is the period of life where an individual remains healthy and free from age-related diseases. And this is the transformative potential of the field of aging biology, right? We can target the mechanism, the rate of aging, and we can delay the onset of multiple diseases simultaneously. And the field has a chance to change society profoundly. The goal of the field, I really think, is to improve health span. And so that is the amount of time spent in good health. And this is really, it's the most precious asset of any living being, right? More time in a healthy state. And so if the greatest success of public health in the last 100 years was really adding, these extra years to our life, the next challenge is to make those years healthy. And so if that appeal to your humanity didn't work, let's talk money, right? So the increases in health spend that would result from increasing lifespan by just 1 year would save the US alone $38 trillion. $38 trillion. That is a crazy amount of money, right? That's 3 times more gold than has ever been mined, or it's 9% of the global total wealth. And that money we could really use to fight, other issues that we've created along the way. And if you could imagine just the ripple effects of such innovation, right? A drug for aging. We're talking about a potential market size of up to 200 billion annually. This could surpass the revenues of giants like Johnson and Johnson and Pfizer combined. And then this isn't just a new product, right? It's poised to be the most significant in human history. This is the potential that lies within a drug targeting the aging process. And despite this huge potential, it's so frustrating because we're not spending the amount that we actually need to solve this problem or make meaningful change, right? We need more money. We spend so much money treating the symptoms instead of the causes. Our current medical system, it's highly segmented, as well as organ and disease based. It really ignores the fact that all of that the biggest risk factor for each of these diseases is aging. So what do we need? We need change at the policy level. We need advocates at the research funding agencies across the globe. And we need scientific outreach that's less focused on billionaires trying to live forever and more focused on the possible benefits to humanity. And we need talent. So that's why I'm talking to you today. We need more people working on this to make it a reality. And so, to aid in this mission, I started the Time Initiative to get more people into the field, to take those undergrads most passionate and driven, and help them become the next leaders in the field. Okay. So the program, it's focused on accelerating talent. So who is it for? It's for early stage researchers, so primarily undergrads, but our criteria is really anyone who hasn't started grad school yet. Joint masters and bachelor's programs are okay. And then what are the benefits to you? So you'll have direct mentorship from me once a month. Once a month, you'll meet with near peer mentors. And according to your specific goals and needs, we'll connect you with different leaders in the field, particularly to your area of study or goals. So we're also part of the Academy for Health and Lifespan Research. So we're also going to be pulling some of those experts in the field in for exclusive events and mentorship and research position availability. So you'll have access to exclusive events, workshops, networking opportunities. This will include our retreat, which is planned for June 2025 in Northern California. We fly everyone out for free, all expenses paid. The first group of fellows has really said that this weekend was extremely transformative, helped them feel less alone in their interests in longevity research and have a network of peers to tap back into for the rest of their lives. There'll also be grant opportunities for research projects or internships at different biotech companies. And the biggest perk of all is really, this community of people, like I just said, that are not only just passionate about aging research also, but they're as ambitious as you are. What are we looking for in applicants? Our biggest criteria, we're looking for curious and ambitious people that really want to pour into a community. They want to be an active member and they want to be a leader in aging biology. And so you guys are getting very exclusive access to the evaluation metrics for our written applications. So I'll just briefly go over those. So passion and drive. This is really about how the individual wants to become a part of the fellowship community. It's an assessment of their internal drive, their resilience, their leadership ability, curiosity. It indicates that you have a strong commitment and potential for success. It's also about measuring your interest in the field, right? How can you display that you have genuine passion and curiosity for aging biology? And then one of the questions talks about personal projects. So we've had a lot of fellows collaborate on different ideas that they've had. So some of the fellows this year have started a podcast that we're going to release soon. They've been forming research collaborations. So fellows have helped other fellows get research positions in their labs. They've led journal clubs, like we had one this year on reproductive aging. They've written blog posts for our website and others, created educational resources, YouTube videos, organized the first longevity conference in Toronto. And so I'm sure you guys all have really good ideas for meaningful contributions, and I'm super excited to read about them in your applications. So the next one is experience and accomplishments. And this is really about your experiences and accomplishments relative to the field. And so that could be academic, research experience, project involvement, any other relevant experience that demonstrate your capacity and potential to contribute to the field. And then unique contribution is about the distinctive value that you can bring to the program. So there's many different ways that your perspective is important, but if you're able to say how your story is different from others and how it's going to contribute to both the scope and the depth of the fellowship program. So different ways, it could be personal demographics, institution type, geographic location, research interest. And so there's many different routes of telling your own story. And then program impact on the attendee. So this is if you're able to articulate how this is going to impact your career path and how you would significantly benefit from, these unique connections and opportunities and mentorship that's all provided by this fellowship. So as far as expectations and time commitments, it's not that high, right? I know that everyone applying to this fellowship is extremely busy, but 1 to 2 hours per week is the floor of expectation. We want people pursuing these personal projects and reaching out and getting to know their fellows. It's a virtual program primarily, and so it does require a little extra effort to reach out and make these connections. And I try to make that as smooth as possible and try to create the scaffolding for that to happen and for that not to be as much work on you. But I do want people that want to come to every event and want to take the initiative to reach out to people on their own and try to foster and grow these connections. And so some of the events are going to give you a really expansive view of the field, right? We're not just going to be focused on your research, but after you're done, I hope that you have an understanding of the challenges, of getting a gerotherapeutic to market, what it takes to create a biotech company, policy considerations, ethical implications, and, like the economic impact, right? We'll have various workshops and you'll have one-on-ones with the different fellows and creating connections with near peer mentors. So people that are like starting PhD programs or fellows that have already finished the program. And so you'll create not only bonds between your cohort, but inter-cohort and help with the next cohort as well. So I really want to have, involved people and people that want to participate. So a lot of our alumni have had significant success already. So we just ended our first cohort 3 weeks ago. But yeah, we've seen tremendous success. So they've had incredible lab placements, including a Nobel laureate's lab and summer research opportunity in Singapore. They've published in really high top tier journals. They've received multiple other fellowships and are applying for more. They've had policy impact through the Harvard Institute of Policy and also the Massachusetts State House. They've got accepted to multiple graduate schools. It's been incredible to like watch them start those programs. They've worked at top aging VCs, and we just had a fellow accepted into Y Combinator. On top of these more traditional successes, these are some of like the personal projects that they've developed. So, blog posts and YouTube videos and public awareness campaigns. Moving on to the application process and timeline. So applications are open now. We'll have one more info session on October 8th. Applications are going to close on December 1st. And the interview candidates will be notified January 10th around then. And the interviews mid-February, we'll have the fellows announced, and then we'll start with the programming from there. So I'll just close by saying that right now you're all time billionaires. While you're deciding how to spend your time, I propose to you working to unravel the most biologically complex process to give people more healthy years of life and to find people along the way that are going to help and push you in that process. And so to be a fellow and to help in this mission, you don't have to be a biologist. We need people filling out the entire ecosystem. We need entrepreneurs and VCs and science communicators and policymakers. The list really goes on and on. So thank you so much for your attention today, and we can move on to the Q&A section. I encourage everyone to sign up for our Slack channel and our newsletter, follow us on socials so they can stay up to date on the application process and other updates on events we have.